Chapter 944. Alex could not help feeling a little excited at the thought of meeting Mrs. Brown again soon. He had never seen Mrs. Brown again ever since he had gotten scolded for trying to borrow money from Lady Richard at her birthday banquet. This was because Nolan had sent Mrs. Brown directly to Westcliff after that. Alex had a very deep relationship with Mrs. Brown, and he regarded her as his own mother. When Mrs. Brown fell ill, Alex tried desperately to raise money. He even secretly tried to sell his blood to raise some money. He also took a lot of money from Emma in private in an effort to keep Mrs. Brown alive. If he did not do everything that he could to help Mrs. Brown raise some money for her treatment, Mrs. Brown would never have been able to wait for Nolan to arrive. She would have already been dead a long time ago. However, Alex felt that this was something that he should be doing. Even by doing this, he could probably only repay about 1/10,000th of Mrs. Brown's kindness to him. His father had always taught him countless times before his death that a man should always show his gratitude as long as he was alive. As the saying goes, a drop of water shall be returned with a burst of spring. Even if he only received a little help from others, he should return the favor with all that he could when the other party was in need. Alex had always been living according to this principle. Therefore, he did not bother to wait for the noodles that he was cooking for Elaine in the pot. He took off his apron before he stepped out of the kitchen. After that, he told Emma, who was accompanying Elaine, "My dear wife, I have to go to the orphanage to deal with something urgent now." Elaine immediately asked, "Are you done cooking my noodles for me? I have not even eaten a single spoon of rice yet and you are already preparing to go out now?" Alex glanced at her with disgust before he replied impatiently, "The noodles are already boiling in the pot. You can take them out of the pot and eat it when it is done. Mrs. Brown has already fully recovered from her illness. I am going to the orphanage to give her a welcome dinner now." When Elaine heard this, she scolded him immediately. "Alex, what kind of attitude is that? You actually dare to talk to me like this because of an old lady at the orphanage? Do you know your own place as a live-in son-in-law? Why don't you think of who is actually providing you for what you eat, drink, wear, or live?" After that, Elaine sneered as she said, "What has it got to do with you even if that old lady is dead anyway?" Alex had already been tolerating Elaine for a very long time. He initially thought that his mother-in-law would change for the better after being locked up and enduring some torture and grievances for the past 2 days. However, he never expected to see no change in her attitude at all. What was even more unexpected was the fact that she actually dared to insult Mrs. Brown, his benefactor. Alex glared at Elaine before he said angrily, "I am eating my own food, drinking my own drink, and wearing the clothes that I bought for myself. Don't forget that this villa was also given to me by someone else. Furthermore, I was the one who bought all of the furniture in this house with the money that I made from helping others look at their feng shui. I have every right to have this kind of attitude. If you are not satisfied, you can always move out and go back to live in your old house." Elaine became speechless when she heard Alex's words. She wanted to scold Alex, but when she thought about it, she realized that what he said was not wrong at all. Things were not the same as it was before. He used to be living in their small house, and he was not making any money at that time. Therefore, she could scold him as much as she wanted to. However, he was a promising person now. Someone had even given him such an expensive villa and renovated it for him. He could earn millions of dollars simply by giving other people some feng shui advice. On the other hand, she was penniless. If Alex really turned his back on her and refused to let her live in his villa, what would she do then? As she thought about this, Elaine suddenly felt a little guilty. She could not help but feel a little nervous and afraid when she saw the angry expression on Alex's face. She tried to salvage the situation immediately. She looked at Emma with an aggrieved expression on her face before she choked and said, "Emma, don't you think that your husband is too much? Is there any other son-in-law in this world who would talk to their mother-in-law in this manner? If you do not keep him under control, then wouldn't he be too full of himself then?" Unexpectedly, Emma replied seriously, "Mom, I think that Alex is right. We are currently living in the villa that someone else has given to him. If it was not because of him, we would never have the opportunity to live in such a good place. Therefore, I don't think that it is fair for you to continue treating him like how you did in the past.